the wife-murdering, revolutionary, genre-defining lyricist named Marshall Mathers. That's right. Today we're going to be talking about Eminem, one of my favorite rappers of all time. He is special in the way that he changes throughout the different areas of his career, almost like different artists. Today, I want to talk to you about that evolution. From the man before the Slim Shady LP, through the Slim Shady years, and finally the Marshall Mathers, who is still out here producing music today. So let's start at the beginning. Marshall Bruce Mathers III was born on October 17th, 1972 in St. Joseph, Missouri. He grew up dirt poor, bouncing around with his mom. By the time he was trying to break into rap, he was also working minimum wage to take care of his girlfriend and his now newborn daughter, Haley. According to Rolling Stone, that early struggle shaped everything he wrote. His first real attempt at an album, Infinite, came out in 1996, and it flopped. Bad. AllMusic estimates it sold only about 1,000 copies. That crushed him, and he spiraled into drug use. But out of this darkness came Slim Shady, his twisted alter ego, which first showed up on the Slim Shady EP. Pictured here is Dr. Dre and Eminem. Now, when they first were introduced with one another, Eminem had lost the 1997 Rap Olympics, coming in second. But that EP got sent over to Dr. Dre somehow, and from what I gathered, Billboard reports that Dr. Dre was so impressed, he said, "Find this kid. Even if I have to fly around the world." That's how we got the Slim Shady LP in 1999, pictured here. He took that EP and developed it into what would become one of his most defining albums. The album was chaos. It's violent, it's hilarious, and it's genius. It won him his first Grammy, and suddenly Slim Shady was everywhere. But then came the Marshall Mathers LP in 2000. According to Genius, this album was him reacting to overnight fame. He raps, "Last year I was nobody. This year I'm selling records." This whole thing is about the consequences of this newfound fame. Suddenly, everyone wants something from you. By 2002, he dropped The Eminem Show. This was different. As The Guardian points out, it was angrier at the world, but also more personal. He rapped about his daughter and his mother in a way that showed his newfound maturity since the Slim Shady. Now, the Slim Shady was still there, but Marshall Mathers was starting to peek through. Then we have 2004's Encore. Eminem himself later admitted it didn't live up to the three albums that came before it, but part of this was because he had to rewrite and re-release a couple of tracks on that album, causing some minor quality differences. Now, the first half of this album has the serious tone of the Eminem Show, but the second half kind of falls to this whole rushed rewrite, and he starts to fall back into this whole Slim Shady craziness, which he was starting to grow out of up to that point. Still, I think it gets more hate than it deserves. Now, we have 2006. Eminem's best friend, Proof, pictured here with him in the car, was shot and killed. Now, this really broke him. The Rolling Stone says this caused him to step away from rap for 4 years, battling addiction. Now, when he came back to the whole rap game, he dropped Relapse, pictured here, and then he dropped Recovery, pictured there, 2009 and 2010, respectively. Now, these two albums were all about survival, of the drugs, of the loss of his best friend, and then he started to break away from this Slim Shadiness formally, and his musical direction started to change. In one song on the album, he mentions, all Slim Shady is a bottle of hair bleach and vodka. And this truly marked the beginning of a new era. This puts us in the Marshall Mathers era proper. Now, the first album he released properly embracing this was MMLP2, pictured here. It was Eminem looking back on his past and trying to reconcile who he was with who he had become. Then came Revival in 2017. Now, this was kind of a step down in quality from the prior stuff he had put out. Now, according to Pitchfork, it was bloated with pop features and clunky politics. It just wasn't Eminem, but he wasn't done. He was not done. In 2018, he surprise dropped Kamikaze, pictured here. And as Complex put it, this was the return of angry Eminem, the one who went after everyone. It felt like he was alive again. And then, to back this success, came Music to Be Murdered By in 2020. This one, as Variety said, balanced anger, politics, and real emotion. He sounded sober, sharp, and in control. It's one of my personal favorites because it shows a man who no longer needs Slim Shady to shock the world. Now he's got a new style, and he's fully honed what could be expected of the Marshall Mathers era. But I wish it could end there, because now we have to talk about the 2024, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. The title says it all. He spends the whole album burying his alter ego. Variety points out that while it leans a little bit too heavy into cancel culture talk, it's still a symbolic end to a character that made him famous, though. Now, with all this being said, where does that leave us now? Eminem started as a broke kid, then became Slim Shady, the villain, then transformed into Marshall Mathers, the survivor. His eras are so different that being a fan of the Slim Shady LP does not necessarily mean you'll vibe with The Death of Slim Shady. But that's what makes him fascinating, is he keeps changing, keeps reinventing, and forces us to ask, how do you even define a great artist? Now, thank you for your time. Here pictured is Eminem and Slim Shady put side to side.